Good morning and happy Easter. Today we're here, we're celebrating together. I'm so glad we're celebrating this together. What we believe that Jesus rose from the dead. He's alive and he is risen. And I don't think any of us are surprised to hear that this morning. Like most people have heard that before. Maybe it's your first time, and if so, I'm excited you got to hear that today. We believe it actually happened, but most of us have heard that before. Here's the challenge when something is familiar to us. When something is familiar, it does one of two things. It either creates a deeper connection or it becomes a lack of connection because it's familiar. Think about relationships. There are relationships in our life that we become very familiar with someone and we either connect to them at a deeper level or we start to kind of skim the surface, right? Like when you're familiar with something, there's a danger. So today we want to talk about this idea that's become very familiar to us. Or maybe for some of us, it's familiar, we've heard it, but it feels more like once upon a time rather than one day in history. It feels more fairy tale than fact. But what we believe and we celebrate today is Jesus rose from the dead. That was something that happened in history. Or for some of us, it feels foreign. It's hard to connect with it because we weren't there. We take the word of the people who were and the many eyewitnesses, and we take their word for it, but it feels foreign. I believe it happened then, but I'm not sure what difference it makes today. I'm counting on it after I die, but I'm not sure what it means on a Monday, which is a great question. What difference does Easter Sunday back then mean to the average Monday? Because for many of us, we would say, I believe Jesus rose from the dead and I'm counting on it. I believe it happened then, I'm counting on it for when I die. But the challenge is like this week, I've got to go back to school and it's not going so well. I have tremendous stress over my grades. I feel like I'm a sophomore in high school and I've already got to pick a major for college. Or I'm showing up at school this week and I feel pretty lonely. I dread times where I have to go hang out on my own because I'm all alone. Or even maybe I feel bullied. Or maybe you're a teacher at a school and you show up on a Tuesday, average Monday or any day and you're there and you're trying to help kids connect with content and help them grow, but you're aware of what's going on in their home life and you feel helpless. I believe Jesus rose from the dead then and I'm counting on it after I die, but I'm not sure what difference that makes on an average Monday. Or I show up to work and I'm doing everything I can to get ahead, but I keep falling behind. The financial stress that's mounting on me and my family is overwhelming, and I believe he rose from the dead then, but on Monday, I've got some bills to pay, and I can't figure out how we're going to pay for this. I believe Jesus rose from the dead then, and I'm counting on it after I die, but on an average Monday, I'm dealing with some choices that I said I'm not going to make, but I keep making. I don't want to call it an addiction, but that's what it is. I keep going back to the same thing again and again and again. I drink it, I take it, I eat it, I buy it, I spend it, I click on it, I view it. I just can't seem to break out of this. And I believe he rose from the dead then, but Monday's pretty heavy. I believe Jesus rose from the dead then, but right now my family's falling apart. This is not how I would have written the story, and I'm not sure what to do. What difference does Easter Sunday, what we believe happened then, what difference does it make on an average Monday? We hear that Jesus rose from the dead, but most of us, I didn't see anybody go, what? No one was shocked when I said that. Sort of looking around the room like, did you guys hear that? But I tell you, the first followers of Jesus were absolutely shocked. They showed up on that Sunday expecting to find his body dead in a tomb. And when he wasn't there, they're scratching their heads and thinking, somebody must have stolen. Here's how the Gospel of Luke tells us how it went down. They're asked, why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. And they're still not sure what to make of it. And some of it, even after this encounter, said, I'll believe it if or when I see him. And then they're told, remember how he told you when he was with you that he was going to do this? The Son of Man must be delivered over to the hands of sinners, be crucified, and on the third day be raised again. Do you remember he said he would do this? but you're shocked. He said he would do this multiple times. And for some of them, when they were told this, they go, oh yeah. Then they remembered what he said. But they were shocked. They did not expect to find Jesus alive on that Sunday. They had seen him raise others from the dead before. We know of at least 3. There was a religious leader's daughter, there was a widow's son, and there was one of Jesus' very close personal friends, a guy named Lazarus. Lazarus was dead for 4 days. The disciples were there. They saw him do it for others. He was dead for 4 days. And he raised him to life. But they didn't make the connection to this. And the thing about Lazarus, you can read about it in John chapter 12. After he's raised from the dead, he's at a party given in Jesus' honor. Try being at a party with Lazarus and one-upping him with your story. Like, his obituary was crazy. Born on this date, died on this date, lived again on this date. So when someone comes up to him at the party and says, Lazarus, craziest thing happened to me. Really? Bet I can top it. I was dead for 4 days. So now he's at a party with Jesus, and this is what John 12 says, verse 1. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany where Lazarus lived. Now, which Lazarus is this? Is this the one that teaches over at Cooper West Elementary? Is this the one that works at United? Is this the guy that plays shortstop for the Rangers, Lazarus? No. Lazarus, whom Jesus had raised from the dead. Oh, that Lazarus. Again, if you're at a party with Lazarus, he's got the best identifier. Which one are you? The one who works here? The one who did that? I'm the one who was raised from the dead. Oh, that Lazarus. That Lazarus. Here a dinner was given in Jesus' honor. Martha served while Lazarus was among those reclining at the table with him. Meanwhile, a large crowd of Jews found out that Jesus was there and came. Not only because Jesus was there, not only because of him, but also to see Lazarus. Which one is this? The one that sells insurance for State Farm? Is that Lazarus? No. The one that's, Martha, which one is this? It's the one whom Jesus raised from the dead. Oh, that Lazarus. This became Lazarus' identity. We don't even know what Lazarus did for a living, because that's not the most important fact about him. He was dead 4 days and was raised again. That's what the people wanted to see. And then Lazarus can't catch a break. Verse 10. So the chief priests made plans to kill Lazarus as well. They're going to kill Jesus because people were following him and they didn't want him to do that. But they couldn't deny what he was doing. And then when he says, I raised Lazarus from the dead, and they said, no, you didn't. And Lazarus says, yeah, I did. And I'm sitting right here in front of you. They said, we got to kill Lazarus too. The guy can't catch a break. For an account of Lazarus, many of the Jews were going over to Jesus and believing in him. Lazarus became this tipping point for people who weren't sure what to do with Jesus. Do I believe or do I not believe? I've heard things about him. But when they met Lazarus, the dead man who's now alive, it was a tipping point for their faith where they said, how could we not believe? So no wonder they wanted to kill Lazarus. He was a tipping point for their faith when they find out what he did for Lazarus. When they found out who Jesus was, because Lazarus was sitting there. And for some of you, what Jesus did with Lazarus might be a tipping point for your faith as well. Or your response to Jesus might be a tipping point for other people's faith. But Lazarus was a tipping point that pointed people to Jesus. In a chapter earlier, in John chapter 11, John, one of the disciples, was there and talks about what happened. And just to give you a little backstory, Lazarus was a very close friend of Jesus, and his sisters, Mary and Martha, sent word for Jesus that Lazarus was sick and dying. They could see where this was going. And so they said, hey, let's get Jesus here. He could make a difference. He could do something. So they sent word for Jesus, and he said, I know what's going on, but I'm not going yet. But he promised his disciples, he goes, I'm doing something here, and this will not end in death. But imagine how confused they were when they got word that Lazarus had died. What do we do with this? And Jesus, now that he's dead, says, let's go see him. And they think they're just going to pay last respects, to be part of the grieving that was kind of traditional, and we still do it today. Family and friends gather around somebody. So they said, I guess we're going to do that. So they followed Jesus. And it picks up in verse 17 of John chapter 11. On his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days, dead for at least 4 days. Now Bethany was less than 2 miles from Jerusalem, and many Jews had come to Martha and Mary to comfort them in the loss of their brother. When Martha heard that Jesus was coming, finally, they had asked him to come earlier, he didn't, but now he's there, finally. She went out to meet him, but Mary, her sister, stayed at home. Why do you think Mary stayed at home? I don't think she could look Jesus in the eye. We asked you to come. We told you it was serious. You could have been here. We did the math. You could have been here. Why did you stay? She stayed home. But Martha comes out and she makes the statement that Mary would have said. What Mary would have said. She said this, Lord, Martha said to Jesus, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Have you ever said something like that? God, I know you could have done something here. If what I believe about you is true, you could have made a difference here. Why didn't you? You know what? Jesus doesn't shut down her question or scold her or shame her for asking that. It's okay to ask that kind of question to God. But it's also important to remember that God always has a bigger picture and a bigger story that he's telling, not just with his life, but your life as well. But she says, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Jesus answered her this way. He said this. Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. And Martha answered like many of us do when someone tries to comfort us in a time of loss. I know, he's in a better place. I know, I'll see him again someday, again in the resurrection on the last day. It matters, well, I believe in you and it matters in the future when I die. But I don't see how it matters today. I know I'll see him again in the resurrection on the last day. And Jesus says to her these words that reframe how we view every moment we're alive. He said, it's not just something I'm going to do then. It's not just something I did back then. Martha, I am the resurrection and the life. The Greek word for resurrection is anastasis, like to animate something. It means to rise again, a standing up again, a recovery, infusing life into something that's dead or dying. It's a rising again. And he says, Martha, this is who I am. See, what we celebrate on Easter Sunday is it's not just something that he did, but it's something that he does. Because this is who he is. Resurrecting is what he did, and it's what he does because it's who he is. We believe it happened. It was an event in history, but we believe it's happening because Jesus is alive. What do you need resurrected in your life? On any average Monday, when you have something in your life, in your character, in your head, in your heart, in your sphere of influence, anywhere around you, you need to understand that the Jesus we celebrate is the resurrection and the life. This is who he is. This is what he does. He brings new life because this is who he is. He doesn't just make bad things good. He makes dead things come alive. It's something that happened, and it's something that's happening, or at least it can be. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever, a very inclusive word, whoever lives by believing in me will never die. That's a really important phrase, whoever lives by believing in me. It's not a one-time box that you check, a one-time thought that you have, a one-time belief that you say, I believe he rose from the dead. And you're not just believing in what he did, you're believing in who he is, that he is the resurrection and the life. And when you live by believing in him, because the thing for many of us, we think belief is an intellectual activity. I think it, that's belief. No. It involves heart and action. Belief means I lean on it. I put my weight on it. I trust it to be true without holding back. How do you live on an average Monday? Because whoever lives by believing in him will never die. And then he asked the question to Martha, do you believe this? That's the question he asked you as well. Do you believe this? And if you say you do, if we were to see your life on an average Monday, do you run to, cling to, follow, find your identity in, lean on the Jesus who promised to be your resurrection and your life each and every moment? Martha's response was, yes, Lord, she replied, I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God who has come into the world. What is your response? See, I do believe that what happened on Easter Sunday does matter on an average Monday. Maybe a different way to state it would be, it can make a difference on an average Monday. But the one who decides, will it make a difference on an average Monday is you. Not your spouse, not your kids, not your parents, not your friends. You are the one that decides, I will live believing in him, and I will trust him with everything. The rest of the story kind of plays out where finally Martha came and asked the question, I believe if you'd been here, you'd made a difference. My brother wouldn't be dead. Her sister Mary finally kind of pulls herself together and comes out, and she asks makes the exact same statement to Jesus, I believe if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But she doesn't ask it standing up, looking him in the eyes. She makes that statement, kind of asking, where were you? As she is crumpled up in a puddle of tears and a ball of emotion at his feet. She just can't even contain her emotion. Because she's not just grieving the loss of her brother, she's wondering, why wouldn't Jesus have done something? You know what Jesus' reaction is? It's not, how dare you, or why would you question me, or get up. Instead, he weeps. He cries. He looks at her and it breaks his heart. He looks at the people grieving and it breaks his heart because he didn't want this for us. And it breaks his heart and he says, take me to the tomb. And I think even then they all just assumed he was going to pay his last respects. So he walks to the tomb and he says, I want you to move the stone. They go, you don't understand. He's been here long enough where that's not good hygiene. It's not going to smell good. Like, this isn't a good idea. And he says, move the stone. And this is what it says. So they took away the stone. Jesus called in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out. This is who Jesus is. This is what he did. This is what he does. Dead men come alive. His hands and feet wrapped with strips of linen and cloth around his face. And Jesus said to them, take off the grave clothes and let him go. You know why he had to say that, I think? Take off the grave clothes and let him go? I'm not going anywhere near that if some guy comes hopping out of the tomb, right? It's like when he says, Lazarus come out, and Lazarus came out, people are stepping back. They're going, what is this? And then Lazarus goes to the party and has the ultimate party story. His tomb was empty. But what we hope for is not just that Lazarus' tomb was empty. Our hope is that Jesus' tomb not just was empty, is empty. The God who did that is the one who rose from the dead on Easter Sunday. And this changes everything. Lazarus' tomb was empty. Jesus' tomb is empty. And what that means for us is that our lives can be full. Full with the life that only Jesus can bring, the resurrection and the life. The Christian faith isn't just about what Jesus said before he died. It's about what happened after he died. He rose from the dead. This is not just someone that had some good things to say. This is someone who is the resurrection and the life. That means that this isn't just a man, this is God. This is how Paul describes God. This is who I think he wants to be in your life. In Romans chapter 4, it says this: He is the God who gives life to the dead and calls into being things that were not. He is our creator, he's our redeemer, he's our risen Savior and King. That's the God who wants to be involved in your life. Not just celebrated on a Sunday, but that you follow and have a relationship with on a Monday. This is who he is. This is what he does. But this is what he does because this is who he is. It's his character. Now practically, what does this look like on a Monday? What do you do with this now? Well, some of it, that's for you to figure out. You're going to know where you need to trust him, where you need to involve him, where you need to include him. But we want to get painfully practical about this. Over the next 5 weeks, we're going to do a series called Fixer Upper. And for 5 weeks, and next week we have 2 services at 9:30 and 11, we do for the next 5 weeks, we're going to talk about practically what it looks like to live on a Monday in a relationship with the God who looks at your life and says, I can rescue and redeem. I can flip any situation. Sometimes in life you can't get a do-over, but what God promises, I can make over any situation and make it new. And we're going to get practical with 5 choices, 1 each week, that if we make this, it helps us lean into and trust in the God who gave his life for us. And here's the thing, if God gave his life for us, it makes sense that we should give our life to him. Because what he promised is, if you give your life to me, I didn't just give my life for you, I will give my life to you. I am the resurrection and the life. It's what I did. It's who I am. Because it's what I did. And what I do is because of who I am. I'm going to ask the band to come up, and they're going to play a song. You know, in life, we don't give a lot of time to be still. And for some of us, it's hard to do. It's hard to sit still. We want to give you a few moments to reflect and think about, what does it mean for you personally that Jesus is the resurrection and the life? That resurrecting is what he did, and it's what he does because it's who he is. What is it in your life where you need Jesus, the one who promised to be the resurrection and the life? What does it mean for you to identify a specific area of your life where you need him to be that for you? What do you need resurrected in your life? And could it be that tomorrow the best decision you could make is putting your life in the hands of the one who took nails in his hands for you and gave his life for you so he could give his life to you? On Easter Sunday, we look back with gratitude. And we look back with gratitude, and we look forward with anticipation for what he will do. But we live every moment expectant that the Jesus who is the resurrection and the life has said to each and every one of us, if you will live each and every moment by believing in me, I am the one who makes dead things come alive. Hope is never too far gone if Jesus is involved. What do you need resurrected in your life? Listen to these words and think, and maybe even turn it into a prayer. God, I give you my life. I give you this area. I need you. Maybe it's saying, God, I haven't been following you. I'm sorry. Maybe today's the day for the first time you want to give your life to the one who gave his life for you. And if that's the case, do that. Just have a conversation with him silently and pray. But reflect on this song. We don't get many chances to reflect. We want to give you a few moments to do that now. So listen to this and ask, what do you need resurrected in your life?
Was crowned with You're nailed to wash our feet. Now at His feet we bow. The one who wore our sin and shame, now robed in majesty, the radiance of perfect love now shines for all to see. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. The fear that held us now gives way to Him who is our peace. His final breath upon the cross is now alive in me. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. Your name is victory. All praise will rise to Christ our King. By Your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting. In Your name I'll come alive to declare Your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting. By Your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In Your name I come alive to declare Your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. By Your Spirit I will rise from the ashes of defeat. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. In Your name I come alive to declare Your victory. The resurrected King is resurrecting me. The tomb where soldiers watched in was borrowed for 3 days. His body there would not remain. Our God is around the grave. Our God is around the grave. Your name is victory.
I don't know what you need resurrecting in your life. But I believe that Jesus does, and I believe he's willing to be the resurrection of life for you. And I think if you're in a situation in life right now where you are hopeless, you feel helpless, you feel alone, I think Jesus would respond to you the same way he did to Mary. I think he would weep with you, and his heart would go out to you, but he wouldn't just send you his sympathy or even empathy. I think he would say, I want to be involved in this. I don't know what your next step is with this, but tomorrow is Monday. How will you live differently based on what Jesus did for you on this Easter Sunday 2,000 years ago? Mark mentioned there's a connection card. If there's some way we can pray for you, please write that down. Let us know. If there's a next step in your relationship with Jesus that you need to take, maybe you have questions, we'd love to talk about it. Maybe you're ready to take that step. Let us know, or come see me after the service. Maybe you just need help getting connected to a community of faith. Please let us know and drop it at one of the offering stations or bring it by Guest Central. I believe what happened then matters now. And I pray that you experience that in a rich and deep way this week. Let's stand for closing prayer. Heavenly Father, we look back with gratitude. Thankful for what you did at the cross. Thankful that the tomb is empty. And we look forward with anticipation at knowing that when we breathe our last breath, or when someone we care about does, that in you we can have hope. But God, for every moment we're alive, help us live believing that the resurrecting King wants to be resurrecting me. Help us to trust that and lean on that in every moment. Father, thank you for the cross and the empty tomb and the promise that you are the resurrection and the life. It's what you did, it's what you do, because it's who you are. We celebrate that today. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thanks for being here. Happy Easter. Make sure you take this card. It's got some great ways to get connected. We'd love to have you back next week. Thanks for being here.